You're listening to Season 11 of Mobile Suit Breakdown, a weekly podcast covering the entirety of sci-fi mega franchise Mobile Suit Gundam from 1979 to today.
This is episode 11.8, Bon Gundam, Bad Gundam, and we are your hosts. I'm Tom, mild-mannered podcast host by day, backwoods lumberjack by night.
And I'm Nina, new to G Gundam and wondering, what are they feeding those Neo-Canadians? Mobile Suit Breakdown is made possible by our zealous and zany paying subscribers. Thank you all, and special thanks to our newest patrons, some incompetent, Andrew B, and Blue K. You keep us Genki. An extra special thank you to Dustin D for supporting us on Ko-fi.
This week we're covering G Gundam Episode 8, Kataki wa Utsu, Fukushu no Uchu Keiji, or Destroy the Enemy, A Space Officer's Revenge, originally broadcast on June 10th, 1994. The storyboards for this episode were done by Sugishima Kunihisa, a Sunrise veteran who debuted on Heavy Metal Elgaim and worked previously on Double Zeta, F91, and Victory Gundam. This is his only contribution to G, but Sugishima will eventually make his mark as a series director for both the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Beyblade franchises. The episode's screenwriter, Shimo Fumihiko, also went on to great success after this. He would be the head writer for the anime adaptations of Clannad, Full Metal Panic, and Amagi Brilliant Park, among others, and wrote the screenplay for the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya movie. Guest star Andrew Graham was played by Sugawara Masashi, already known to us as the voice of Lieutenant South Burning in 0083. Also, he played King Ferdinand of Aragon in the Christopher Columbus anime. Did you know there was a Christopher Columbus anime? It is 26 episodes long and was made specifically for the European market in 1992. Columbus himself is played by Shimada Bin, voice of Jupiter Headbandio from Zeta.
Feels weirdly appropriate.
Now, the play-by-play.
You're listening to GSPN, your home for all things Gundam Fight. Up next, When Canadians Attack, the Andrew Graham story. Andrew Graham was just a mild-mannered space security officer with 1 week left before retirement when notorious space pirate Argo Golski attacked his station and killed his beautiful wife Norma. After being saved by the heroic forces of the United Space Police Anti-Piracy Reckless Pursuit Squadron, who happened to be in the sector for unrelated reasons, Andrew retired to live quietly in the backwoods of Canada with only his grief to keep him company. There he maintained a strict regimen of chopping logs, taking steroids, staring mournfully into the middle distance, cleaning wood chips out of his beard, and training for Gundam combat. After 5 years, he was ready to become the Gundam fighter of Neo Canada. Graham performed well in a practice bout against Neo Japan's Domon Kashu at romantic Niagara Falls, tossing the Shining Gundam around like a ragdoll. But seeing Kashu's partner, Rain Mikamura, must have driven the Canadian fighter mad with jealousy and grief. He abducted Mikamura and retreated to his mountain stronghold to await the imminent arrival of arch-rival Golski. That idyllic alpine forest would soon become the stage for further tragedy. After failing to convince Team Neo Japan to abet his underhanded plan to kill Golski, the perfidious Canadian lured Ms. Mikamura into the cockpit of his Gundam, perhaps hoping to use her as a human shield before engaging first the Bolt and then Shining Gundams in unofficial duels. However, this clash of titans proved too much for the fragile earth under their feet. As the cliffside crumbled beneath them, Domon and the Shining Gundam tumbled into the river below, while Graham and his critically damaged Lumber Gundam were left clinging on by one hand, with the Bolt Gundam menacing them from above. For a moment, it seemed to the world that only tragedy can follow when Canadians attack. But on that day, Argo Golski reminded the world, and Canada, that the first rule of space piracy is never to harm a person, or, through inaction, allow a person to come to harm. According to witnesses who were present on that day, the mighty Russian bear rescued the Canadian moose and the captive Mikamura from certain doom. What happened to Andrew Graham after that, no one knows. Some say he's still out there today, chopping logs, taking steroids, and planning his revenge. GSPN would like to thank Historica Neo-Canada, the NCBC, and Neo-Canadian Heritage Minutes for their cooperation in the production of When Canadians Attack.
Okay, but seriously, what are they feeding these Neo-Canadians? He doubled in size in 5 years. He's 2 domons. And yet at the same time, it looks as if he's aged 15 years in 5 years, at least.
First of all, steroids. Second of all, have you seen how Liver King looks? Third, you can get pretty jacked if you spend 5 years concentrating on nothing but working out and grief.
But it doesn't usually make you taller.
He could have been pretty tall in the space scenes. He was sitting down for most of them. I want to believe in this masculine transformation. I think it's plausible. You have to understand, at some point in every man's life, he feels the urge to move to the backwoods of Canada, get super jacked, and grow a grief beard.
You just want to hold out hope that if I die first, the one upside is you'll get tall. Speaking of design, that is a goofy pirate ship with its sad, droopy eyes.
It looks like a sneaky little guy with a big nose.
And what is the symbol on Graham's fight suit supposed to be?
I think it's a moose.
Okay, I knew that upper part kind of looked like a moose's antler.
Or like a rooster's coxcomb.
Yeah.
No, I think it's supposed to be a moose. I
Okay.
think the little like guitar pick or tortilla chip shaped thing, I think is supposed to be a stylized version of a moose's head and, you know.
Okay. I like the Lumber Gundam well enough, although it's not a terribly interesting design.
It has a robo-toque.
It has a robo-toque, which is what Canadians call that particular kind of knit hat.
And a pair of axes. These are the things we know about Canadians. It's cold up there, and there are a lot of trees, and they're all lumberjacks.
Well, and the shoulder spikes, I was trying to think, they're reminiscent of something. Don't some loggers wear like spiked shoes or
I mean, people who have to climb trees on the regular wear like spiked cleated shoes to be able to do that.
I wonder if that was kind of the inspiration for the spikes.
Maybe, but I think they just kind of put spikes on Gundams a lot. Like,
Well,
remember
that's
the
sure.
Tequila Gundam?
Yes. But it was a cactus. Maybe we just find spiky things inspiring. Gundam design team firmly on the side of Kiki rather than Booba.
No, this is the battle of Kiki versus Booba, right? First of all, I think it should be Boba. The Bolt Gundam is very Boba. The Bolt Gundam is all rounded edges. It didn't use it in this one, but its main weapon is just a ball that it swings around.
I feel like we should explain for people who don't know what Kiki and Booba is.
There are these two shapes.
Well, so this was actually a linguistics experiment, if I remember correctly, where they basically wanted to see if different linguistic backgrounds, people who spoke different languages and from different cultures, interpreted made-up words in similar ways. And so they had one sort of soft and rounded blobby shape and one spiky shape. And they asked a ton of different people which of these shapes is Booba and which is Kiki. Like, if these were words, which word do you think would describe which shape? And almost universally, regardless of language or cultural background, people felt like Booba describes the soft, rounded, blobby shape, and Kiki describes the pointy shape.
Except me, the one correct person who says that it's boba.
But boba's a thing that we eat.
Yeah, a rounded blobby thing. And I don't eat it.
That's right. You heard it here first. Tom does not eat boba. Feel free to cancel him at leisure.
Besides the fact that the Lumber Gundam is Kiki and the Bolt Gundam is Boba, they're kind of mirror images of each other in a lot of ways. Obviously, the fact that they're both big, huge dudes is literally the point of the episode. Domon wants to fight with Argo because he needs somebody to practice his giant killer maneuver against before fighting Graham again. And Graham got that jacked because he wanted to be able to fight Argo on a level playing field. But also, there's a lot of similarities. Graham is wearing the suspenders. Argo has the crossbody straps. Graham's hair is like a grayish brown. Argo's is like a brownish gray, or vice versa. Graham has big, prominent eyebrows, but they're rounded and smooth. Argo has big, prominent, spiky eyebrows. Both of them use like a shoulder tackling attack when they're in their Gundams.
Several of the fights in this episode, and I know this is true throughout G Gundam, but as someone who doesn't watch a lot of wrestling, I enjoyed the identifiable wrestling moves in those fights, the moments where you're like, oh, I've seen human people do that. But back to your point about the two of them being counterparts, they also both continue to fall into that pattern I identified where none of the Gundam fighters are actually doing this because they want their government to control Earth. They all have personal reasons. And in both Andy and Argo's cases, they are fighting for other people. Andy fighting to, he thinks, avenge his wife. Argo fighting to free his old crew from prison or keep them free.
But last week, you pointed out that Domon has a big problem with Chico Rodriguez because Chico has someone to fight for. He has a cause, but he's not willing to fight. Here, Andy is willing to fight. He's happy to fight. He's eager to fight. But Domon still objects to his motivations.
But Andy doesn't care about fighting him. Andy does fight Domon, but just enough so that he can get away. The only person he actually wants to fight is Argo. And this kind of enrages Domon.
But why? Theoretically, Domon is only here to fight Kyoji.
This plays into a lot of questions I have, frankly, about Domon's motivations. Like, aside from the fact that his government might intervene if he doesn't start winning matches, he doesn't have to fight anybody to get information about Kyoji. He doesn't have to fight anybody to ask questions about the Devil Gundam.
But Domon is a martial artist at heart. I don't mean he's a fighter or a soldier. He's a martial artist. He trained for 10 years under a martial arts master. Most of his life has been spent perfecting his techniques. He likes the sport of fighting for the sake of the beauty of fighting. Andrew Graham's approach is dishonorable. It dishonors the noble sport of Gundam fighting. The beauty of martial arts is that you can have a fight with somebody and then be friends afterwards. No one needs to die. The injuries are insubstantial. But Graham wants to kill Argo. He doesn't care about the rules. He doesn't care about the Gundam fight. He wants to kill a man. And Domon resents the idea that he would be complicit in that.
I don't think Domon's reasons are that altruistic. He also doesn't particularly care about the regulations or about fairness. He's willing to work with Neo-Russia against Graham.
That's to get Rain back. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the episode, Rain is more important to him than the Gundam fight, even than his martial arts.
Yes, but at the time that he arranges to work with Neo-Russia, I don't think he's super worried about her yet. He becomes very worried about her later, and it becomes clear in the end that, yes, she and her life are more important to him than the Gundam fight, and even more important than using the Shining Gundam for his revenge. But it comes back to what you said about pride as a martial artist. He knows Argo will face him, the two of them, head on and give it his all. Andy is doing the same thing that Chico did, sort of, in, like, just fighting enough to avoid, just fighting enough to get away, to postpone.
I don't think Domon ever would have even considered working with Neo-Russia if Rain had not been kidnapped. His casual attitude, his relaxed nonchalance when he's dealing with the Neo-Russians, this is a calculated facade because he needs to project strength because he's alone dealing with the whole Neo-Russian team, and they will seize on any sign of weakness.
Rain and Domon's argument at the beginning of the episode feels very illustrative and significant here. He wants to be the big damn hero. He wants to do everything himself and run himself into the ground and never pause and never rest and never take care of himself and do everything alone. And up until now, Rain hasn't been allowing him to do that. And frankly, he probably wouldn't still be alive if Rain were letting him do that. She has saved him multiple times and taken care of him. And he makes the point to her in their argument that she can walk away and he can't really. And she admits that he's right. But then he immediately, blows her off when she apologizes. And it becomes clear by the end of the episode that this is all about his pride. He doesn't want to be a normal human who needs rest. He doesn't want to have to depend on anyone or to need support and care from other people. And he doesn't really feel trapped by his mission. He likes the mission because it lets him do the big heroic journey thing.
But would he want to do the big heroic journey thing if he hadn't lost his whole family?
Probably, but in a very different form, in an easier to walk away from form.
And yeah, I'll agree that his pride is on the line here, but there's more to it. I mean, Rain has been voicing these kinds of complaints for episodes and episodes now. That's got to have worn on Domon's spirits. To have your partner remind you over and over again for weeks that they don't want to be there and don't agree with the way you're doing things and that they're planning on leaving. This is one of those fights that's been coming for a long time.
But also, who wants to hang around a loved one who seems hell-bent on destroying themselves? I did love the jab that he makes at her about what you're going to leave, because she's constantly threatening to do so. So he's prepared for that to come up. I mean, like all good fights, neither of them is completely in the right or completely in the wrong. He does need help and support. He does need rest. He is still carrying a lot of grief from what happened to his family and, subsuming that grief in anger instead and his quest for vengeance.
And she knew what she was getting into when she signed up for this.
Or she thought she did.
She has also gone behind his back and conspired with their handlers against him in the past.
He has also frequently done things without consulting her in any way. He locked her in that bathroom one time. Also, Rain being kidnapped, this is twice for her. 3 if you count being locked in that bathroom as a kidnapping, which I don't necessarily do.
No, I don't think so.
And 4 to 5 kidnappings total across 8 episodes.
Given that it's a Canadian episode, I was a little surprised she didn't wind up tied to the train tracks while some sort of choo-choo Gundam raced towards her.
That is a reference to Rocky and Bullwinkle, which I don't know how old you need to be to have seen, but I bet some of you have never even heard of it.
Snidely Whiplash, Dudley Do-Right.
Also, increasingly feeling like people who don't live in North America have no idea how big it is. Do you know how far Niagara Falls is to the Rocky Mountains? It's almost entirely across the continent. It's more than 1,300 miles or 2,100 kilometers. And that's as the crow flies. That's assuming you did a straight shot.
Yeah, how far is that as the Gundam runs? This is another week where we're going to have to listen to an album because the image of Graham's sort of idyllic clearing with his cabin and in the woods comes from the back of a jazz fusion album by the French group Magma.
Cool. Why didn't we listen to that instead of watching Bon Cop, Bad Cop?
You're the one who wanted to watch Bon Cop, Bad Cop.
Well, we used the title of the movie for the title of this episode, so I felt like we should probably watch it. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good.
There were some good moments.
It had moments, yeah. I have a question for you, which you may or may not be able to answer. What makes a Gundam fight match official or unofficial?
I think you have to say Gundam fight ready go.
Okay, that's all. You just have to.
No, I mean there's some sort of formality that makes it official.
They mention multiple times, unofficial matches. This one's not official, so the rules don't apply.
Well, this one is a 2-on-1 fight, so that definitely would not be official.
Well, it doesn't start as one, though, because initially Domon is going to let Argo fight Graham, and then he's going to fight whoever's left at the end of that.
No, Domon's plan is that he'll fight Graham and retrieve Rain, and then Argo will fight whichever one of them is weaker. Argo is the one who, storms off on his own.
I mean, we've already seen that Domon doesn't mind interrupting an official match, so...
Mhm. In Domon's defense, he claims he got the fight signal first in that instance. Maybe that's what it is. There's like a signal you broadcast to announce that you're starting a Gundam fight, and whichever Gundam fighter responds to it first is officially fighting you.
Anyway, it's silly and weird, and I assume makes it easy for people to just cheat constantly.
Cheating in the Gundam fight? We haven't seen any evidence of that yet.
This episode also betraying some flaws in Neo-Russia's Argo control system. We know that the harness he wears means they can, like, kill him whenever, but he's their Gundam fighter. They don't want to kill him in the middle of this current round. They may not have a replacement lined up. Who knows?
Well, presumably the leverage they have vis-a-vis his currently imprisoned crew is more effective, more coercive.
But even that, under this circumstance, isn't enough. This was absolutely not intentional, but it is very funny that in talking about Rain and Domon's argument, you automatically fall into defending Domon and I automatically fall into defending Rain.
I think we could easily have switched if we chose to.
But what happened without planning? What happened? Each of us falling into our natural sympathies.
Perhaps I only took Domon's part because you had obviously taken Rain's. Maybe I felt bad for the kid. Maybe I thought he needed somebody in his corner.
He had someone in his corner, Rain, and he chased her away.
Oh, he chased her away. She seemed willing to leave on her own.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting. I was going to observe that yet again the police are evil. Put just 2 people on this space station with, I'm going to assume, grossly inadequate safety and security procedures. Chase a pirate ship into it. Let some pirate take the fall for your disaster.
The idea that Argo was a notorious space pirate for any period of time and never harmed another person, well, I guess they say he never killed anyone. It strains credulity.
Yeah, but this is G Gundam, man. I kept thinking of Bodacious Space Pirates.
I was also thinking of Bodacious Space Pirates. That is a show that goes to great lengths to explain how it is that you can have space piracy without all of the murder.
Or at least very minimal murder.
If you have not seen Bodacious Space Pirates, it is really fun. Adorable series. The name...
Yeah, don't let the name fool you. Bodacious babes.
That just means they're energetic.
No, and also
they're energetic babes.
I can't remember if this was in the show or in the movie, but it's a surprisingly gay show.
It's really good. I have a prediction to make.
Okay. Wait, how can you make predictions? Haven't you seen all of this before?
Okay, I have a comment to make from which things about the future could be extrapolated.
Uh-huh.
The show is demonstrating a pretty predictable structure at this point. Episode 1 introduced the main story, introduced Domon, then 4 successive episodes introducing each of the other main Gundam fighters. Chibity, George, Saisaishi, and Argo. Then episode 6 advanced the main storyline. Episode 7, Domon travels to an interesting place, fights a new Gundam fighter. Oh, and look, one of the other major characters is there for some reason. Episode 8, Domon travels to a new place, fights a new Gundam fighter, and oh, look, another of the main Gundam fighters is there for some reason. Who will it be next week, George or Saisaishi? Because it's going to be one of them.
Have we mentioned yet? I think it happened last episode or the episode before, but they added some new animation to the opening, in which it feels as though many of the other Gundam fighters feature more prominently.
Well, we've met all of them now.
That's true.
The core cast is coming together. And we can predict that we will continue for at least a little while this pattern of like, every 4 or 5 episodes or so, we'll advance the main plot a little bit, and in the meantime, we'll get to know these other characters a little better.
We'll have side stories, B-plots with all of the main Gundam fighters.
Which probably means no more Chibity for at least another 4 episodes. I'm so sorry for your loss.
I'll manage somehow.
You liked Saisaishi too, didn't you?
I did.
The little scoundrel, the imp, the goblin.
I did very much. And I like Graham. And even George is fun in his weird Rose of Versailles kind of way. Argo is probably my least favorite of the the ones introduced so far.
But I thought you liked big beefy boys.
Well, yeah, but personality matters.
Rude.
He doesn't have one. It's like, I'm gonna punch walls open and tear fuel lines with my teeth and glower at everyone all the time.
He's the most stoic of them, though he does get that moment in this episode of introspectively sitting in front of his Gundam's head. I always love when they do that. I think the first time I saw it was Amuro in First Gundam. They have him pass out on a chair with the head of the Gundam in the background.
For the album cover.
And good animation, good directing in this episode.
It was a pretty attractive, good-looking episode, yeah.
When they first show Argo and it starts with just an electric arc on a black background, and then they show his manacles, then just his furrowed brow and dagger-like eyes, the edges of his face coming into the light, but they're as spiky as his eyebrows. Or later, when they show Andy and Norma reaching towards each other and they do a split screen. And as they're desperately reaching for the other one, the camera's zooming in until we only see their eyes looking at each other. Good stuff. Good enough that I don't even mind that stupid grip crushing maneuver they do again. Maybe I just need one of my rivals to come to New York and we can do the grip crushing thing, and then I'll understand why it's so important.
I contend that it's just the dramatic wrestling move version of guys sizing each other up by trying to crush each other's hands when they shake hands. Have you never given someone a slightly over firm handshake?
Of course I've given someone a slightly over firm handshake. Regrettably, I am a man.
I have no response to that. Seki Tomokazu was just 21 years old when he started voicing Domon Kashu. It was his second role in a Gundam series. He voiced Tomasz Masaryk in Victory, and his first lead role. And I had no idea just how prolific and popular he would go on to become. Seki has had major roles in One Piece, Hajime no Ippo, Cardcaptor Sakura, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Steins Gate, and Doraemon. He played Shinya Kogami in Psycho-Pass, Yotaro in Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, Mepuru in Futari wa Pretty Cure, Kenichi Shirahama in History's Mightiest Disciple Kenichi, where he also performed the theme song for the OVA, Van Fennel in The Vision of Escaflowne, and Isaac Jewell in Mobile Suit Gundam Seed and Seed Destiny. He played Kyo Soma in the first Fruits Basket adaptation, the one from 2001, and has been very gracious about them going with an all-new cast for the new adaptation, and played multiple roles in the Giant Robo OVA. In the Fate series, anime and video games, Seki voices Archer and Gilgamesh, and thanks to the Gilgamesh role, got to record the audio guide for the permanent Gilgamesh exhibit at Tokyo's Ancient Orient Museum. Not only that, but when the museum decided to produce an audiobook of the Epic of Gilgamesh, they asked him to narrate it. And it sold so well, they went on to record the sequel, Enuma Elish, with him as well. As of now, April 2026, he is slated to be in Dandadan Season 3 and Ranma Season 3, plus 7 other roles slated for 2026 releases. Seki does lots of voiceover work outside of anime, too. His video game credits include Phantasy Star, Octopath Traveler, Assassin's Creed, Tekken, and he voiced Kanji Tatsumi in Persona 4. He's the Japanese dubbing voice for Oscar Isaac, James McAvoy, and Korean actor Cha Tae-shin. He has dubbed numerous tokusatsu characters and has done ads, radio, live-action film and TV, and live theater. He has also written multiple plays, is the chairperson of a theater company, and became a Rakugo apprentice in 2014. Rakugo being a traditional Japanese storytelling performance art. Fans admire his versatility in being able to play heroes and villains, romance, drama, comedy. Paraphrasing one fan comment, No one does a maniacal laugh as well as Seki-san. And another reports that multiple younger voice actors have cited Seki's performance as Tomonkashu with inspiring them to get into the industry. Seki Tomokazu was born September 8, 1972, in Tokyo, Japan. As an only child with two working parents, he watched a lot of TV and entertained himself by doing impressions and writing little skits based off shows he watched, which he'd then perform for other kids at the playground. In elementary school, he joined the drama club and wrote and performed a skit based on Kamen Rider. One charming detail, apparently he was insistent that he didn't want to play Kamen Rider and instead recruited his most athletic friend to do it. After being teased for having a big head, Seki became self-conscious about his appearance, but voice acting let him perform without worrying about how he looked. Around this time, he started recording himself when he did skits and impressions at home so that he could share his performances with his parents when they got home from work. After hearing voice actors Tanaka Mayumi and Shimazu Saeko on the radio show Animetopia, young Seki wrote to NHK, where both worked on the program Elementary School 4th Grade Science. He asked to be allowed to visit the studio. He was granted permission and was able to meet both of his voice acting heroines and get their autographs. In junior high school, Seki saw an ad in the newspaper for voice acting school, but was too young to enroll. The age cutoff was 16. He considered the drama club, but was too self-conscious to join as most of the other members were girls. Rookie mistake, kid. He did track and field instead and got really into drawing, to the point where he was drawing his own manga and considered becoming a manga artist. His favorite manga artist at that time was Go Nagai. And he actually wrote to the company that manages the rights to Nagai's work and visited their offices. I'm sensing a trend with Seki-san.
He seemed like a very energetic child. A lot of get up and go.
With this burgeoning interest in art, he decided to take entrance exams for both regular high school and an arts high school. But he was sick the day of the art school entrance exam, then received his acceptance to the regular high school first. Worried that he might wind up with no seat at all if he waited, he committed to the regular high school, and in interviews says he might have become a visual artist rather than a voice actor if things had gone differently. Once in high school, Seki quickly got bored of his track and field and art club activities and went back to voice acting, enrolling in training programs that were held after school and during school breaks. The experience was a bit of a rude awakening. He had thought that voice acting would be easy, but he struggled to the point that, quote, teachers gave up on him, and he quit the classes. Then he was fired from the first acting job he managed to get. He thought he was in the way during a scene he wasn't in and left the set. Ultimately, it was a more experienced voice actor, Mizutori Tetsuo, who encouraged him to keep trying and mentored him. Though he got into university, Seki never attended. His persistence paid off, his acting improved, and after working on G Gundam, he continued to work steadily and is still acting now. In 2017, TV Asahi polled 200 popular voice actors about who their favorite voice actors were, and presented the results on a 3-hour TV special called Voice Actor General Election. Seki was one of the hosts and came in 5th in the final rankings, ahead of Hayashibara Megumi, who was Chris in War in the Pocket and came in 11th, and Sakakiwara Yoshiko, who voiced Haman Karn in Zeta and Double Zeta and came in 17th. There are probably some other Gundam voice actors in there, but those weren't listed as their most famous roles, so I missed them.
Notably for our listeners, Mizutori Tetsuo, the voice actor who encouraged Seki to keep going, happened to be the guy who played the old supply captain Gadem in episode 3 of First Gundam, the Space Walrus.
According to his Wikipedia pages, Seki's favorite anime is Getter Robo, and his favorite voice actor is Kamiya Akira, who voiced such roles as Ryoma Nagare in Getter Robo, Kogoro Mori in Case Closed, and Ryo Saeba in City Hunter. Sources describe Seki as a huge tokusatsu fan and a serious plamo hobbyist. He sculpts, he makes garage kits, and has written frequent articles for plamo hobby magazines like Monthly Model Graphics and Dengeki Hobby Magazine. I'll conclude with one last fun anecdote. Because of his roles in Victory Gundam, G Gundam, and Gundam Seed, in one of his model magazine columns, Seki proudly referred to himself as the man who piloted 4 Gundams. Next time on episode 11.9, London Falling, we research and discuss G Gundam episode 9 and Gentle Chapman. Surrounded by dummies. London fog wasn't fog, it was pollution from burning coal. Perfidious Albion. More to you, Wesley. You've changed, old man. You used to be cool. Gun? Gun. Redheads. Addicted to the Gundam fight. Men are the worst, but isn't that what makes them great? And a cautionary tale from which Domon will learn nothing. Rain, on the other hand. Ready? Go!
Mobile Suit Breakdown is written, recorded, and produced by us, Tom and Nina, in scenic New York City, within the ancestral and unceded land of the Lenape people, and made possible by listeners like you. The opening track is Wasp by Misha Dioxin, the closing music is Long Way Home by Spinning Ratio, and the recap music is Window by 1000 Hands. You can find links to the sources for our research, the music used in the episode, additional information about the Lenape people, and more in the show notes on our website, GundamPodcast.com. You can get in touch with us by email at hosts@GundamPodcast.com. If you'd like to support the show, please tell your friends about us, leave us a nice review wherever you listen to podcasts, or if you'd like to support us financially, you can do so at GundamPodcast.com/Patreon. Or look for other ways to support the show at GundamPodcast.com/support. Most of all, thank you for listening.
Are you ready to come down to Neo New York and throw hands over your Gundam opinions? No? You lack conviction. Or maybe you just haven't heard an opinion worth fighting over yet. So how about this one, suggested by Irradiate Space?
For Murasame came from Murasame Labs. De ello se desprende que Cuatro Vagina procedía de Vagina Laboratorios.
He abducted Mikamura and retreated to his mountain stronghold to await the... No, I'm glad.
No, I've been stifling laughs since you started. GSPN killed me. And I'm like trying really hard not to ruin your takes, and that one just escaped. That one just got out.
Roxanne! We went like 7 years without ever making that joke, and now I'm gonna make it every time.
Do the younger listeners even get the reference?
I'm sure, like, I'm sure that people are still listening to that song. It was never an obscure song, right?
No, but like, part of the reason we know the music we know is because it's stuff that was on the radio when we were small, because it was popular when our parents were like peak adult demographic. And so I feel like as that changes, the stuff that gets the most play changes. Also, it was on the soundtrack to Moulin Rouge. All right, before you start doing the play-by-play, I want to just check how old this song is.
All right.
It's from 1978, Tom.
Sure. Many songs are from 1978. Lured Mrs. Mikamura into the cockpit of his Gundam.
Mrs.
As the cliffside crumbled beneath them, Domon and the Shining Gundam.
Idea for a novelty build. Gumdum made out of chewing gum.